So there's this couple in Hollywood who just can't get enough of each other, and they're known as Wahl Berg. And these two have pretty much been pumping out more based off true story movies than YouTube pumps out fake prank videos. And to be completely honest, I don't think that they're the worst movies out there. But just because someone loves McChickens, that doesn't mean that they're inherently good for you. So what I want to break down is the discussions that we always have every time one of these new Docbusters comes out and is released in theaters. Because we're always asking ourselves, one, is it too soon? Two, is it propaganda? And three, and most importantly, should Marky Mark just stick to talking teddy bears and robots? And look, if you're watching this video because you think, I'm gonna answer it for you, no, it really just straight up varies from movie to person to scenario, and you shouldn't be looking for answers on the internet really anyways. But I do want to discuss it and kind of open the conversation to you guys, because this is something that happens every year. But unlike my passengers video where a bunch of people decided in the comments to correct me, even though they agreed with me, I'm just gonna quote the great Marlon Brando by saying, hear me out, bro. So let's start it off by looking at the very patriotic side of things and saying that these movies are A-okay. So you may ask, is it too soon? And it's very easy for someone to be offended who was never a part of the incident and lives miles and miles away and is just behind on their computer screen. And it's a completely different scenario for someone who was a survivor or a victim or was even there helping out on that day, be a part of the movie and actually push for it to be made, for it to be something that might help them cope with it. In other words, if the movie's not exploiting the event and it's actually paying tribute to those who were fallen and those who helped out, then it shouldn't be bad. But I know a lot of people say, well, this is being made into a blockbuster. This is something that's for entertainment. That's what movies are. It's for you to eat popcorn and have fun. I don't see movies that way. To be completely honest, there are a bunch of movies that are not just for you to go have fun, they're for you to contemplate. For example, you can look at the Oscar-winning Spotlight. That's not a movie where I'm going in there with my buddies going, we're about to have a great weekend. It's a movie that makes you think about something that happened, a tragedy. There's even movies like Fruitvale Station, which interestingly enough was released not long after that incident, yet to some that wasn't considered too soon, and this one was. And I understand that they're different scenarios, and filmmaking wise, Coogler takes the cake all the way, but the concept of too soon can't be applied only when the agenda doesn't fit yours. For some reason, people have decided that you're either right or you're left, and there's absolutely no middle ground because this is like sports teams and you can only root for one, and it doesn't make any sense because we've gotten to the point that either cops are Superman or they're just a straight up Terminator who's going out to kill you, and there's no middle ground. There's no Chief Wiggums who just don't do anything. And honestly, the same applies with every group that refuses to see its own faults. Not everyone's going to be perfect, but the same goes for their adversaries that refuse to see the point of the group and why they were created in the first place. So with that, I'm gonna flip it over to the other side and see the other point of view. We talked about how some survivors approved of the movie and they really wanted to help out with it, but there's obviously going to be a lot of people who were there and don't want to be associated with it. For example, the Richardson family who lost their 8-year-old son in the accidents and refused to be portrayed in any shape, way, or form. And of course, there's going to be a lot of people who just want to forget that day, yet they get reminded of the day they lost their legs just when they're going to the theater to go see Moana. So I get the idea that these films can be insensitive, especially when the makers of this film asked the people of Watertown if they can refilm the shootout scene that happened on that same exact street. Oh, hi man, remember that night when bombs and gunfire were going on outside your house and it traumatized your children? Yeah, we were wondering if we can recreate that scene again. There's also the idea that if the movie's meant to pay tribute to the heroes, why is Marky Mark playing a fake figure? Really, in all of the movies that he's done, he's pretty much just this mashup of different characters. That way he can always be in the right scenario at the right time. And considering this is the guy who said that he would have single-handedly stopped 9/11 if he was there, you start wondering if this is all just the Marky Mark show. And look, I don't hate the guy. I think he's a funny dude. He's a decent actor. But the dude does a lot of dumb things, like starring in Pain and Gain, and where he depicts the kidnapping, extortion, torture, and murder of several victims in the 90s and turned it into a comedy with Michael Bay. So with that being said, with Pain and Gain and all these Berg movies, if you are not giving your paycheck, since you already have the Transformers one, to the victims of said event, you're banking off dead people, man. There then comes the issue of accuracy or propaganda, or if it's meant to build hate towards Muslims, which personally, again, and this is bringing it to the other side, one evil person shouldn't define a people. Just that evil act should define that person. If there was a film about how Juanito was cooking up dope in the crock pot in the name of the Virgin Mary, then that wouldn't be a bash against all Mexicans, that would be against him. But the thing is, that's not how it works, because everything depends on how people perceive it, how the audience sees it. And people are very, very easily influenced. I still remember coming out of my God's Not Dead screening a while back and having all these Christians hate on atheists just because of what they saw on screen. Or when I came out of Straight Outta Compton and all these white boys were angry at the security guard outside because they thought they were Dr. Dre or something. In the end, people are always going to differ, and we've been getting these types of movies for the past decade, and they'll continue coming, and they're being produced faster and faster, and they're not gonna stop. What's crazy is that there were supposed to be 3 Boston Marathon bombing movies, but one of them was a Casey Affleck movie that got bought out by these guys so they can release Patriots Day first, but there's still another movie that's going to come out starring Jake Gyllenhaal called Stronger, based on one of the victims. How that one or any of the other ones to come are going to play out, we'll just have to wait and see. But whether you fully support these movies or you hate on them because it's the right thing to do, none of that really changes the events or the tragedies that they're based off of. If you really want to make a difference, that starts when the credits end. Thank you guys for checking out this video. As always, I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. Like I said, I had another video where I kind of talked about the irony in Passengers, and again, people were complaining even though they agreed with what I was saying. So I'm curious to see how many people are going to do that with this video, but I'm still open. If you disagree with whatever, I mean, the whole point is to have discussions with one another, so let's do that. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this movie or any others down below in the comments section. And until next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you guys later.